You're not addicted to drama. You're just numb without it. And maybe that's the problem. You say you want peace, but you keep scrolling through panic. You say you want God, but you keep feeding your fear more than your faith. And the truth is, most of us don't scroll because we're curious. That is not the truth. We scroll because we are coping, y'all. We are coping. Because if we stop, the silence will scream louder than the headlines ever could. The silence is so loud and people cannot deal with that. People cannot sit with that silence. So we binge disaster like it's a lifeline. Not because we want to be afraid, but because fear is familiar. We say we're staying informed, but really we are staying inflamed. Inflamed with anxiety, overstimulation, spiritual exhaustion. We are staying inflamed with so many things that we should just get rid of. And meanwhile, God is over there whispering, not in the fire, not in the earthquake, not in the chaos, but in the stillness that we keep avoiding. We can't hear him because we avoiding quiet time. Have you ever noticed how you tell yourself you want peace, but you keep scrolling through the chaos? Like, you telling yourself that. You saying what you want, but you keep doing it. You want healing, but you keep watching hurt. You want to feel hope, but you binge the bad news like it's comfort food for your soul. Why do you do that? Why? Why is that? Because the truth is, we don't always want to feel better. We want to feel something. And pain feels more familiar than joy when you've lived long enough in the storm. So many of us have lived so long in that storm, in that pain, that feeling anything other than that is unfamiliar. We scroll disaster not because we're cold-hearted, but because we're conditioned. Somewhere along the way, trauma became our teacher. We stopped believing in happy endings and started expecting worst case scenarios. What do people always say? Pray for the best, expect the worst, or something like that? Like, what does that mean? Why would you say that? Do you know how bad that is? Like, pray for the best, but expect the worst. Or what? It's different sayings that people be saying, and I just don't want no parts in it. But expecting the worst, but praying for the best. God, like, why you playing with me? If you praying for the best, then why are you expecting the worst? That's got to be an insult to God. It's crazy. Like, when I really process it and think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's an insult. Why would I pray for the best, but then I'm gonna pray for the best, but then I'm gonna expect the worst? So why are you even praying if you expecting the worst? Like, you are definitely insulting me now that you say that you're gonna pray for the best and expect the worst. Negativity has become our normal. Fear became our friend. Disaster became a way to brace for what might hit next. And psychologically, the world trained us to anticipate pain. When your nervous system has been living in that fight or flight mode for years, calm feels foreign. Peace feels suspicious. You don't trust silence. You don't trust good news. So you keep reaching for the pain because at least it's predictable. It's what you know. Your body thinks watching tragedy will protect you. If I stay alert, maybe I won't get caught. Maybe I won't be caught off guard. If I know what's going wrong, maybe I'll feel less powerless. Nope. You call it informed, but really it's actually inflamed. I know my my daddy loves watching the news, and I cannot stand watching the news. I can't. Anytime somebody got the news on, I'm just like, I don't. And I respect what other people's choices are and stuff like that. So I just kind of, I'll be open and honest, and I say, oh, I don't watch the news, or I'm not watching that, or I'm not listening. And my older sister reacts so differently. Like, she goes crazy when my daddy always got on CNN or watching the news. It drives her crazy, and she shows it. She lets him know, and they get into it for him watching the news. And I feel like I say it more in a subtle way, like, I'm not watching that. That's not good for you, and things like that. But so many people, and I understand, I see so many people that stay watching the news. I don't like watching the news. I don't like it at all. It drives me crazy. It really does. But some people, they don't know how to live without it, and I realize that. And I'm like, it's definitely something deeper. So if you see somebody watching the news all the time, don't get into an argument with them and stuff, y'all. I've seen that so many times. But it's something deeper. It's more to it. There's a reason why they are watching the news. Deeper than you might know, deeper than they might know. So let's just work through that, and we'll be fine. And then let's talk about this algorithm, y'all. The algorithm of everybody scrolling through stuff on social media is definitely listening. Okay? It's not just what we consume, it's what consumes us. You click one negative headline and now your feed is filled with pain. Y'all know that happens. Your screen becomes a mirror of your fear. And it's not showing what's true, it's showing what keeps you engaged. And the truth is, fear keeps us more engaged than faith. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. That's such an unfortunate thing. Sometimes we scroll disaster because we don't know how to rest. We just don't know how to rest. We don't know how to just be at peace and be calm with what is. Some people are expecting it, like it's too quiet. Everything, it's going too good. Something's gonna mess up something. People have so many excuses that it's just going too good for it to be good. Too good to be true. All those sayings that I do not like at all. But joy feels dangerous to people who have been through so much in life. It's part of, like I said, you like, this is too good to be true. Like, how can I be happy? Like, this is not right. And calm feels like a setup, because we've been trained to believe that any second now something can go wrong, y'all. Something bad is gonna happen. So we gotta stay ready. We gotta stay ready. I stay ready so I ain't gotta get ready. That type of stuff. I stay ready so I ain't gotta get ready. We stay wired. We stay exhausted. But you wanna know something? Being informed is wise. I agree with that. But being consumed is a wound that never heals. When you consumed by all this mess, all the news and watching this, and you are consumed with it. It's like, why are you watching it so much? That's so much. I tell my daddy, hey, did you watch something? Anybody to come to me to ask me, did I watch anything on the news? No, that's what I got you for. Because I know you watch it enough for the both of us. You can tell me what's going on. I don't even need to look at it. I don't want to look at it. You tell me what happened, because I know you looking at it. And I just feel like it's okay to be informed. Just tell me the important things. I'll stay informed. But other than that, I'm not going to be consumed with none of this stuff. I want to know the weather. And the weather be tripping too. You don't never know what's going on with that weather. Like, it's unpredictable as well. But there's a difference between awareness and being addicted to the pain. And I feel like that's where people kind of don't understand, really, that they are addicted. You really are addicted to the pain. You don't think you are, but it's showing that you are. You watching, and it's like the more I see somebody watching the news, more and more, I'm like, I'm starting to see it differently. Where it's like you are, you have some deeply rooted pain in there for you to keep doing. Like, what? Why do you want to keep watching that? People scroll through stuff on social media. They be watching the worst things, and I'm like, I could never. And then you watching it before you go to sleep. So you finna be having dreams about it. You wonder why you be having all kind of crazy dreams and stuff. That stuff is just all in you. It's crazy. And you keep scrolling disaster, chasing chaos, and using it as an excuse that you need to know what's going on. That's what people's excuse is. All the time, you gotta be informed. I need to know what's going on. But really, your spirit is crying out for stillness. You ain't gotta know what's going on. Stop it. You do not have to watch the news 24/7 to know what's going on. You all right. You ain't gotta keep that. Turn the TV off. Turn something else on. You think you just checking the news, but sometimes we're checking for evidence that the world is as hopeless as we feel. Oh my gosh. Like everything's good. The world is hopeless. And I feel good about that. Like, are you kidding? That's what you checking the news for? And the enemy knows that. Because if the devil cannot destroy you, he'll definitely distract you. He gonna keep you watching that news all day. Watching the same thing, they repeating it over and over. It's programming into you. He can make you stop believing in God, and he'll make you too busy, too anxious, and too flooded to hear him. The devil gonna distract you. Turn that news on, turn the TV on, listen to all this mess that's going on in the world. Where are you fitting in any time with God? Did you open your Bible up the whole time you was watching the news and stuck on hearing all that mess that's going on in the world? God says in Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. But when was the last time you were still? Let me know. I'll wait. Oh, no, I won't. We traded sacred silence for scrolling. We've replaced prayer with panic. We've started checking social media before we check in with God. And now we wonder why we feel disconnected. When I wake up in the morning, I do not pick up my phone. It's not the first thing that I do. I lay, I sit, I talk to God. Thank you, God, for waking me up. Guide my way. Thank you for this day. I just speak to God for a minute and I sit with that before I get up out of my bed, before I pick up my phone, before I do any of that. You might remember Elijah in 1 Kings 19. He was burnt out, afraid, hiding in a cave. God told him to stand on the mountain and that he was going to pass. First came the wind, violent, breaking rocks, then the earthquake, then the fire. Elijah saw the earthquake, he saw the fire, and he saw the wind, but God wasn't in the disaster. Y'all, he was in the still small voice. The Bible says the Lord was not in the wind. The Lord was not in the earthquake. The Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came, a still small voice. This is 1 Kings 19:11-12. We keep looking for God in drama, in a storm, in a spectacle of all this mess. But God whispers. And to hear a whisper, your life has to get quiet. And if you never turn the noise off, you'll never hear it. Sometimes we miss the peace of God because we're too busy tracking the panic of the world. I felt like I kind of got through to my daddy a little bit because all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, he not watching the news. He got the TV cut off and he started listening to all this like bird sounds and nature and stuff like that. And then my older sister told me how crazy he is for listening to that. And I'm like, you said he was crazy for watching the news. So oh my gosh, they crazy. But take those moments. And I feel like when he did that, he felt more at peace. Like, those are the things I do that. I don't turn my TV on. I don't like watching TV. I definitely don't watch anything that's got the news and stuff. Like, I'll sit and watch certain movies and stuff like that, but it's got to be something that I feel like is worth me watching. But I cannot stand watching the news and scrolling on social media through mess and drama. That drives me crazy. I don't like it. I feel like it's just putting all the wrong stuff in me. And when it comes to all of this, here's the truth that hurts y'all. Some of us are more comfortable in the earthquake than in the quiet. Because in the quiet, there's no noise to blame. We can't blame it on that happening. We can't blame it on this. We got to sit with that. We got to sit in the quiet and we got to sit with that. Can't blame it on that. It's just you. It's just your wounds and God. And that's terrifying when you haven't let him in the mess that you have yet. It's scary to be like, okay, God, here go me and all my mess. But God don't speak in fear. He don't compete with chaos. He waits until you finally slow down long enough to seek him. And not just in times where you just slowed down long enough because you were in a jail cell and that was the time that you slowed down just to talk to him, just to get out and then go back to doing what you was doing. No, not just those moments. We got to get past those, y'all. We need to be real all the time. Don't just call on him when you're behind the jail cell. Spiritually, this is what's happening when it comes to all of this. You're feeding your flesh more than your spirit. And whatever you feed grows. Remember that. If you keep feeding your fear, it'll dominate your faith. Keep feeding that fear. That fear gonna grow more than that faith. You're rehearsing death instead of declaring life. Proverbs 18:21 says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. But what we watch, what we speak, and what we absorb, it matters. Because then you speak those things, you see those things. It all matters. It all comes together. You're mistaking noise for knowledge. Let me repeat that. You are mistaking noise for knowledge. But God doesn't shout above the storm. He whispers through it. Y'all, let's sit in that silence. Let's be at peace. Let's be in the quiet, in the stillness. And let's turn off all that other noise. Let's turn off all that mess. Your soul is craving peace. It is. But peace doesn't come from knowing everything that's going wrong. That is not how it works. It don't matter what you know. My sister done told my daddy plenty of times, if the world was ending, I don't want to know it's happening. I'd rather be doing whatever I'm doing than sitting there, what I'm going to do, just watch the news and they're telling me it's the world ending? Or am I going to be living my life as the world is ending? That's what she telling. It comes from knowing the one who's still in control when everything feels wrong. Know that God is here. Know that he is with you. In Isaiah 26:3, it says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you. Instead of just asking the question, why are we drawn to negativity? We have to ask the question, what are we missing from God when we stay there? And here's the truth. You can't hear God in a feed that never stops. You won't find peace in a timeline built to keep you triggered. The devil doesn't always use destruction. Sometimes he just uses distraction. I know they sound alike, but they both different. And if you can keep your eyes on everything falling apart, he'll keep your heart from ever falling into God. The devil is very tricky. If he can keep your eyes on everything falling apart, he'll keep your heart from ever falling into God. But God is still speaking, not through disaster, but through divine stillness. The question is, will you keep scrolling through storms? Or will you finally get quiet enough to hear the whisper that can save your soul? Let's ask ourselves that question and let's answer it honestly. I'll see y'all in the next video. It was good talking to y'all.